So I was in the garage and I got thinking, as you do, and if you're a four-wheel drive guy, especially in Australia, you are likely to have put a second battery in your car at some point. And when you do, then you have to think about, well, how am I going to charge it? And some people go the solar route, which I've played around with. Most people go for a DC to DC charger, something like this. This is a Redarc, which is an Australian-made DC to DC charger. This is a 1220, so it's 12 volt charging, and this one can charge up to 20 amps, 3-stage. It's got the boost, absorption and float method of charging. The problem with DC to DC charging is basically outright cost. One of these things is $500, over $500 for a charger. You can use a cheaper method, but if you're going DC to DC method, most people go one of these, which got me thinking, could you build something similar for a lot cheaper price and what's involved? So I decided, I got this one here and I'm going to take it apart and we're going to have a look inside of it and see if we can replicate the system it uses at a much more decent price and see if it's just as effective. So I start by opening it up, and the first thing I notice is that the PCB is encased in an insulator, which is great because these units are designed to be mounted under bonnet, so they need to be able to take heat and be basically IP67. I don't know if these are rated at IP67, but it certainly looks like you could dunk it in water and it wouldn't have any effect. So, the other thing I notice is, so you've got your little indicator panel on the side that tells you your what battery mode you're in and also what charge state you're in. But even the LEDs on the PCB are underneath the waterproof insulator. So even if, like, it's usually lighting components and things like that stick out from a PCB that get affected by the weather, but this one, or by liquid or moisture, that sort of thing, this one's fully encased, which is like a nice build quality. As soon as you open it up, you can tell nice build quality. Just looking at random bits and pieces, so I was looking at these. They're a common mode choke, and you've got what's that, LTC 3780, so DC to DC integrated circuit, charging circuit controller. All the wiring's nice as well, everything's buried into the insulator. Yeah, it's just a really nice build quality, and now you can see why something like this would run you $500 or more. I'm going to go to the theory side of it, I guess, now. So all the DC-DC charger really is it takes a 12 volt output from the car's battery or alternator, and it will boost that voltage up, because if the second battery is 9 times out of 10, it's a 12 volt battery as well. But as you might know, 12 volt batteries don't charge at 12 volt. You need to put between 13.5 and 14 volts into them for them to actually absorb, for the cells inside to absorb the voltage. So something has to boost the voltage up into a usable range, and then you just need a method for controlling the charge. So hopefully there's some circuit available that will be able to recognize that the second battery is at the correct charge, so it's fully charged, and then it can turn it off so that you're not overcharging or anything like that. I did want to point out at this point, we're not talking about lithium, by the way. We are talking about lead acid batteries. That is what you would buy as a normal starter battery, or a lead acid AGM, which is what people traditionally used for a second battery for many years until recently. AGM batteries, they're still classed as lead acid. But yeah, so with these, you can get lithium versions of these, which is the I think it's the Redarc BCDC 1220D is the 20 amp one. I think that does lithium, don't quote me. But anyway, so the first thing I needed to do was find a DC boost module. So something that can take 12 volts and change it to whatever volts it wants. And AliExpress delivered. This one here, 20 bucks. It can boost up to 36 volts and it's 5 amps. So it's not the same. The Redarc one's 20 amp. I'll just do a 5 amp. See, at this point, it's a bit of a fun thing to see how cheap I can make this DC to DC charger. So we'll get one of them. Buy it now. The second thing I need to do was, now that I've got voltage available, I need to find a circuit that can do battery charging. So IC Station has got this little XH-M604. I'll put all the models in the description if you want to muck around and make one of these things. It is $7. Now I need a box to put all this in, so no, this isn't working. This is shit. Start again. All right, now we're getting somewhere. So I realized with battery chargers, it's gonna get hot. So I needed some cooling. I needed some vent and something for a fan to sit in. So anyway, I've mucked around with this. I'll make this design freely available if you want to muck around with your 3D printer. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. So put this in the 3D printer and see how we go. And now that's all done, we have a box. We'll start putting the stuff into it. Alright, so after 3 or 4 iterations, this is what I've come up with. So I want it to be simple in and out, and everybody uses Anderson plugs when you're 4-drive camping. So I've just used your standard size Anderson, and it should work like this. The power comes in through your Anderson, goes to your voltage supply or your voltage controller. That boosts it. It doesn't matter if it comes in. The good thing is this thing has variable voltage inputs, so it doesn't matter if it comes in at 12 volts, like if it's just coming in off the normal car battery, or if the car's started and the alternator's running, even if it goes up to 13.5 or 14 volts, this thing will still regulate it. So, and you can go in and there's some pretty cool settings in it. For a really cheap component, that seems to work okay. It's even got a little display on it. And then it outputs the voltage into the battery charge controller. So everything is just 5 amp. This is a bigger controller. I think this can do up to 30 amp or something, but it's only going to be charging at a low amperage. And then you can do a whole bunch of settings in that, which I haven't worked out yet because I haven't plugged it in. And then once the controller gets power, it'll output through its output terminals here, and then it'll come out to this Anderson plug, and then you plug that into your second battery. So that provides a nice controlled charge for your second battery. Okay, so for the purpose of testing, I've got a cable coming off the starter battery going to this, which I'm going to plug in now for the first time. And as I plug it in, I've got display. It's just all zeros. It says set 13.5, 3.9 amps, current, constant voltage. Okay. And then it's like I already had a solar set up here. I've just added an Anderson plug here for the purpose of testing, and I'll plug that in the other side. Just to note, my little display there isn't showing anything, but I don't really know what it's go. I'll plug that in and 13.7. So that I should have let this battery drain down because the voltage is or the solar panel's killer. Like, it just always keeps it charged. So what I might do is turn on my compressor. So yeah, if you've just skipped to this point, I'm basically running the compressor to draw down my second battery because the solar pretty much keeps it charged all the time. I've done another video on this whole setup of how to build this, how to make I've also done a separate video on how to make your compressor remote controlled so that you can hide it under your floor and things like that and have a little output like this where you just snap your airline on. Anyway, so second battery sitting on 12.6 volts, and this is what everything's looking like. So it's reading 12.6 volts on that second battery, and I'm just gonna, it's not supplying any amps at the moment to the second battery, but when I hit this relay should turn on and start providing charge from the main battery, which is this side, to the second battery. And it's just ramped up, supplying 3 amps sort of thing. So it all seems to be working. My only thing would be, so it's shutting off because it's already hit 12.9, 13 volts on the battery, on the second battery. My only thing would be, I don't know how hot this would get, so that would probably need addressing. But the fan, if you mount it with a spacer, the fan should be able to draw some air in there to cool everything off and pass. My design was like to pass through the heatsink and then out this. Obviously the box is made of PLA plus, so it can't get that hot itself, but it's alright just for sort of doing a basic design and just playing around with it. Well, I guess in summary, you can build one for pretty cheap, like 30 bucks, 40 bucks, something like that. It's definitely a learning curve, but yeah, I mean, it just goes to show you could build something like this and it'll work. Would I use it is another question. You know, someone who four-wheel drives and travels a lot, you really think about things like heat, electrical, fire, and you're always constantly thinking about how efficient is my system charging that second battery and how many days could I go off grid and that sort of thing. Would I use what I built? Nah, probably not. I like Australian made things. I always support Australian made companies, and when you split something like this Redarc in half, you can see the quality build is just like, it's really exceptional. And yeah, I mean, is it expensive? Yeah, but I think with electrical stuff, and particularly when you're dealing with batteries and charging, you get what you pay for. And these things have been in development for a long time. I don't have anything to do with Redarc normally, but yeah, you can tell their stuff is pretty quality. So yeah, if you were thinking about building one, for me it's fun, but I'd probably let the pros do what they do best. Anyway, thanks for watching and please subscribe.